Senator Kim, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Mr. Bronner, I just want to pick up here. How many people have been protesting in the streets in Minnesota?
Depending on the day, I'd refer to Senator Coran, but dozens, possibly hundreds.
Dozens or possibly hundreds of people are protesting in the streets of Minnesota. Is that what you're saying? Does that sound right to you, State Senator Coran?
Thank you. I'd respond thousands. So thousands of them, and there are a variety of groups. So those at the national level, which were just discussed, those that are home-based in Minnesota, as well as all of those that have been encouraged by our leadership.
Of those thousands, how many do you believe are just doing this on their own, or do you really think that the majority, if not most of them, are actually coordinated in the way that Mr. Brunner was talking about?
I think there's a variety. There's three tiers again. Those that are national and global, as I just described. Those that have ties based in Minnesota, coordinating with the national efforts, and then those that are homegrown, that just residents that have been encouraged. I mentioned earlier, they talked that they've trained 30,000 Minnesota residents to be observers and to engage and impede federal law enforcement.
Yeah, look, I just want to say that I just strongly disagree with how you've been categorizing this and talking about this. And it's not just people in Minnesota. People all over this country are frustrated and concerned and upset. They're scared and they're worried about things because they just saw 2 American citizens get killed in the street by federal agents. And I just had a town hall in New Jersey this weekend, and the idea that people would be saying that this type of anger and this type of outrage, whether in New Jersey or in Minnesota, is being predominantly coordinated in this type of way. I just have to say it is delegitimizing the anger and the fear that people are facing right now. So I just have to say, the way in which it's been described in terms of, or the majority of the protesters are talking about this, in that kind of way, I just think is very dangerous right now. And I hope that we can still say and recognize that there are a lot of people that are furious right now and worried. And I just wanted to be able to push back on what I've been hearing. To go back to the topic of this hearing in the broader vein on the examining fraud, I guess I wanted to just start here. Mr. Hedler-Gaudet, you talked about this in terms of, this is not episodic, right? You said it's not unique in terms of fraud happening just in one state. This is something I think we can all say with confidence is happened in every single state. Is that correct?
Yes.
Mr. Talcove, is that similar in your mindset too?
Yes, Senator.
Now, you talked about it, Mr. Talcove, as a persistent vulnerability and not episodic in that type of way. I want to kind of go through some of the tools that we have to try to address this. Let's start with the Government Accountability Office, GAO. As far as I can tell, some of the stats are saying it's saved $1.45 trillion since 2002. Mr. Talcove, does that sound about right? I mean, not the specific number, but has it saved the taxpayers a lot of money in that way?
They definitely have saved some money, but not to the full extent of the fraud that's taking place.
Oh, certainly not. No, I mean, this is just one tool that we have at our disposal in that way. So I guess I would just ask you, do you see importance in supporting the GAO?
I think the GAO is very important as part of the process, but part of the challenge has been their recommendations tend not to be followed. In fact, there was an article in yesterday's Wall Street Journal talking about the TANF program. 165 recommendations were made, 65 were critical. 0 of those recommendations for the past 10 years have been followed up on.
So the concern that you have is actually that their recommendations are not being followed up. Do you have any reason to believe that GAO is working in a partisan way?
No.
I guess I just wanted to follow up on this in part because our current OMB director, Russell Vogt, said that he doesn't think that GAO should exist. Do you agree with that assessment?
Not my bailiwick.
Not your bailiwick. Republicans in the House of Representatives proposed cutting GAO by 50% last year. Do you think a 50% cut to GAO would hurt their ability in terms of being able to shine a light on fraud in our government?
The most important thing that can happen right now, if we're serious about saving $1 trillion annually, is to allow the states to start sharing data and to go through the 4 recommendations that I had: front-end identity verification.
I agree with a lot of your recommendations on that front. I'm just trying to get a sense of all of our different tools, so we can get back to that. But Mr. Hetler-Gaudet, I guess I wanted to ask you those same questions. Do you agree or do you disagree with Russell Vogt's suggestion that we get rid of the GAO?
I emphatically disagree.
Do you have a problem with Republicans in the House trying to cut GAO by 50%?
I have a problem with anyone messing with GAO. I'm a staunch GAO defender, be they Republican or Democrat.
Yeah, look, I think, just in these broad tools that we have GAO, and I hope that we can, in a bipartisan way, think through how we can use these tools, how we can support them going forward in our efforts if we are seriously and earnestly trying to address fraud. Also, when it comes to inspector generals, and I think that that's something that we've seen a lot of challenge on here, as we saw immediately President Trump come in and get rid of 17 inspector generals. Mr. Hetler-Gaudet, does that concern you in terms of how he has dismissed inspector generals in his time in the office so far?
Is deeply concerning. Not only is it antithetical to any serious effort to root out waste, fraud, and abuse, but it's also unlawful in many cases. So it's kind of got 2 dimensions of problematicness there.
Yeah, look, a number of these different efforts, but Mr. Talcove, I agree with you in terms of the data and the efforts we can do on that front. So I guess I just wanted to ask you, what are actions that Congress can take to fix the gaps in data transparency and make it easier for us to follow where the dollars are going?
So the first thing I'd recommend, if I was in your seat, is to allow the death master file to be shared to the different federal agencies. That has been an outstanding issue for 10 years, and that's why you see so many quote-unquote deceased recipients in the benefit programs. The other part that I would strongly recommend is third-party audits. Too many times now you see in government, the audits are being conducted by the individuals that have responsibilities for the program. Like Lexis, we have a third-party auditor that checks our books. I think there needs to be third-party auditors going in and checking. And I think if you do those things, you can take the fraud rate down from 20% in government down to 3%.
Thank you. Chairman, I'll yield back.